Welcome to Cheese in Depth. I'm Michael Landis, and today we're talking with Carrie and Kate with the Wisconsin Aging and Grading and Cheese. This will be really fun for all of us. And today we're sponsored by the Dairy Farmers of Wisconsin. With over 1,200 licensed cheesemakers in the only state that requires a license to make cheese, they are also the only place outside of Europe with a master cheesemakers program. So today I'm talking with Carrie and Kate with Wisconsin Aging and Grading Cheese. And Kate, by the way, is a third generation licensed Wisconsin grader. I'm going to turn it over to you two.
Welcome. Thank you.
Hi, everyone.
Hi, everyone. Yeah, hopefully this will be fun for everybody to learn about us and our company. So our 3-year-old, I think Carrie and I both have some of this cheese cut up. So that's this maroon brand. And
oh, yeah, you can get a lot closer to the camera than I can.
Yeah, that's true. So 724, Wisconsin Select. And that's the youngest of the cheeses that we have in our brand as of right now, just specializing in the aged cheddar category of it. And you'll see through all the different cheeses that we have set up to show you guys today that our cheese, our aged cheddars, do not cut or have that mouthfeel like aged cheddars that people might have been exposed to in the past. So the aged cheddar 3-year that I have here, I don't really have it paired with anything, but that's because this cheese, the flavors aren't as complex yet, even though it's 3-year, definitely more complex than a mild cheddar, but you can really eat it by itself and your palate gets cleaned up pretty nicely. And that's the part.
So it's a really, I was just going to say, it's a really nice traditional cheddar that it's starting to get that really nice, sharp aged cheddar flavor to it. But it still is really creamy and has a really nice mouthfeel to it. It's a good beginner cheese for somebody who is just starting to delve into the aged.
Where you can see how nicely that cut at 3 years old. So, and it'll be exciting as we get to the 11-year-old to kind of see how that cheese cuts as well. But yeah, it just has a nice, smooth flavor to it, even though it has that depth. You can taste that depth of flavor that's starting, that has the acid, a little bit of bitter in the background, but it cleans up. That's the biggest thing with really any cheese, is how does it clean up, and do you want to eat more of it? Our goal and our job is to have people enjoy as much cheese as they possibly can, you know, with maintaining being conservative about consumption, but it tastes like more and you want to pick it up and eat more. That's the biggest thing that our cheese, when we age it, does. So the 3-year-old is, we have some attributes on our 3-year-old cheese that listed as traditionally sharp, nutty, and creamy. And that's exactly what you get when you have that cheese.
Absolutely.
So next up would be our 7-year.
Well, let me talk about, so let's talk about some pairings.
Yeah.
Carrie, what do you have up there for that you're pairing with it today?
Well, the 3-year, what we have is we kind of included the 3-year. It's an excellent cheese by itself, but we also incorporated it into some recipes. So what I used it with today was, over here I have, this is a cauliflower buffalo dip, and this is made with our 3-year cheddar. There's no chicken in it. You know, a lot of times you see those buffalo chicken dips. There's Kate's lovely little, nice job, Kate.
Thank you, thank you.
But you definitely don't miss the
right?
Yeah, absolutely. You don't miss the chicken in it, and it's just the sharpness of the cheddar just adds so much to it. So inside there's the 3-year And then cauliflower, cream cheese, ranch dressing, and then buffalo sauce.
Yeah, I think we have a recipe for that at the end there as well.
Absolutely. Yep. The recipes that we show with these, everything will be available, and it's definitely a crowd pleaser. And I know that with everything going on this year, most people will probably be spending a lot of football Sundays at home. So this will be a great recipe to whip up to, enjoy those Sunday football games together and together with your family.
Well, and
So it's
sure. The
So-
cauliflower, I mean, it's awesome because the cauliflower buffalo, not only is it a little bit better for you, I guess, but it's a great way to use aged cheddar more than just a table cheese.
mhm.
That's kind of what we wanted to let people know too, is that you can incorporate aged cheddar into recipes. And the nice thing is that the flavor goes a lot farther. So you might need a pound of medium cheddar for your lasagna or your, some type of potato casserole or something. But you need
Yep.
a pound of it because to get that flavor. But it also melts really well. So that's where you'd also want to use that type of aged cheddar, where 3-year-old, it does not melt down as well as a medium, it's the nature of how the cheese and the proteins break down as it ages, but that flavor is there. So that's what's really delicious of putting it with something that has that spice to it of the buffalo that we all love, and then to also incorporate it with cauliflower versus chicken. So yeah, we do fun things.
I
like
also
that.
have
We
I don't
have
know, this is something that I found this blue. Oh, sorry, Kate. What were you saying?
Oh, I would say we have dip offs sometimes, meaning that
Oh.
everybody takes one of our cheeses and comes up with a dip. Then we all bring them to the office, and then we see who wins for the best dip. So that one won one of the years. The California, was that you, Carrie, who did that?
It was, yeah, it was. Yep,
There you go. Yeah, she's
it was a
fantastic.
winner. It was a winner.
So what beer did you pair with it? Carrie?
This is a Blue Moon. I don't know if these are new or not. I mean, it's the first time I've really seen them, but Light Sky, a citrus wheat. So it's the Blue Moon. It's made with, I think, tangerine peels. So I don't know. I think that it goes good with that, and kind of they complement each other in a interesting way. So cheers.
There you go.
So I built a little mini cheese board, and because of the age of this particular cheddar, it really stands out as a great cheese that you can put with charcuterie. So I chose the Three Little Pigs, their chorizo with this, and I just really simple. And I think that, as you look at a lot of the recipes and when you're working with this, is that does so well on its own, so you don't really have to slather this up as much. But I also use a Petits toast to give me a little bit of a cracker feel. And then I thought that the ground mustard would be really a nice little tangy topping to go with it. So that's my little cheese board that I built with that. And I paired this up with the Lagunitas. This is the Daytime IPA. And this is a very light beer. It's a session. It's only 4% ABV. So it's very, very light in that respect. So it's kind of like a little bit of a hoppy but light pale ale. So it doesn't really take you down that big path. And so you need something to kind of clean up with all the butter. And so that's what I did with mine.
Nice.
Awesome.
That's
I
the
bet
perfect-
that's excellent with that mustard.
Yeah, that it balances. Yeah, and a lot of times people just think of the aged cheddars as a table cheese, but it does. It pairs really well and brings out different flavors of different products that you have with the mustards or with the meat. So, but yeah, if you eat the cheese separately by itself, I mean, the biggest thing that I identify right now with it is just the body is so creamy. It has this dairy note to it still that you get that nutty cheddar flavor that we're all looking for in a quality aged cheddar, but the acid brings on, you know, a little bit there. There's not much bitter on it, so it's a very approachable cheese, and then it cleans up. And that's the hardest part of creating a quality cheese is, does that cheese clean up? You don't want that residual aftertaste that you tasted like, you know, the next day still type of thing. You know, you want to be able to go, that was really good. Let me eat some more of that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so that's with the 3-year-old. Carrie, did you have another pairing with that? 3-year?
The 3-year, I kind of, with the buffalo dip, I use it in there. And you can, with the other dip I have here, I think I'm going to talk about that one more with the 7-year pairing.
Okay.
Just throwing this out there, with any of our aged cheddars, they are amazing in honey. So sometimes you don't have to go to these elaborate pairings, and, you know, a lot of times just having some honey at your house, if you open up a package of our cheese and pair it with some honey, it's amazing. And so I think that would be a good pairing for all of them. Like, it's just, it's really yummy.
Drizzle it on top of it, or you can just dip a little cheese square into it, and then use a grinder, pepper grinder, to go on top of it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's excellent.
This is our 7-year, which is right there in the middle of the age bracket for our 724 line. In this one, it has bold, tangy, and firm. So that's the 724 brand right there. And what I do with my little plate here, so I cut them into, Michael, I watched your other episodes and how you had fantastic suggestions on cutting them into little wedges. So, because a lot of times we cut them into little chunks. So I was like, oh yeah, that's phenomenal. It's like a tiny little chunk of cheese. But a terrazine crystal. So that's a question that comes up a lot. You can kind of see that little speck right there. That is a terrazine crystal. And that is very prominent in an aged cheese. And those are produced by different cultures as they age. We like to call them flavor crystals. Not the technical name, but the technical name is terrazine. We call them flavor crystals because if those crystals are present, there's typically a little bit more fruity flavors to them. And around them, there's a little, like a halo almost around them. But so if you experience a crunch in your cheese, not glass or anything crazy like that, it's a crystal that has naturally formed as that cheese is aged. And with this cheese, again, I mean, you can, the 7-year-old cheese, it's 7-year-old cheese, cheddar cheese, and it's not falling apart. You know, you can cut it still very nicely, and it's not all over your cheese board. So, and I paired mine actually with blueberries. The tartness of the blueberry with the kind of the sharpness of the 7-year-old, they really balance each other out, and then they also both together clean your palate, so you can eat more because usually that flavor is gone. So so that's the 7-year-old. That's the pairing that I put together with it. What do you guys got?
With our 7-year over here, I have, and this is another recipe that I used it for, is a beer dip. So I don't know if you can really see with the, kind of just looks like a little cheese dip there. It's made with the 7-year and then Guinness beer. There's also some Monterey Jack cheese in there, and cream cheese. So, and then also some cayenne pepper that gives it a little bit of a kick. So that's excellent with, I have these little pretzel bites there, or just like normal pretzels. Again, would be an excellent little dip. With, that looks nice.
Thank you. So this, I have those pretzel thins. Those are phenomenal.
Yeah.
Crunch, but it's not overly filling. So, and it doesn't take over that flavor of that beer dip. And one thing I was going to say is when you are grating the sharp cheddar to put into, I call it sharp cheddar, but I'm talking about 7-year-old cheddar. Well, some people call it sharp cheddar and it's like 9 months old. I'm talking sharp cheddar 7 years old. You can really dictate the size of that shred. So, I mean, there's some phenomenal pimento cheeses out there these days that people really enjoy, the extra texture. So this Kari made is phenomenal. But you can see how creamy it gets, you know, and that's a 7-year-old cheese that typically would not break down the way that ours does. So that's something fun too. And that recipe would be, I think, towards the end too of the presentation.
So with the first cheese, it was it had more butter to it, not as much tanginess. So that's where I thought it would be really fun to be able to do something savory. So now we have all this nice tangy flavors here. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go a little more sweet. So I decided to go with a nice little honey. Savannah bee honey is one of my favorites. 80% pollen count, just a beautiful cheese or honey. It comes in a couple, or it comes in a wide variety. And I thought that the orange blossom would be the best for this because I really want a little bit of sweetness. And I picked the Effie's homemade original oat biscuit with it to give it some a little sweetness. But because there's a really nice amount of tanginess, it really balances out that sweetness that you would get. So in reality, this is not like a really heavy dessert. It's actually has a nice little balance between the tanginess and the butter and the honey and the cracker. And oat is just such a great little neutral portion for it. And then I paired it up with another IPA. This is actually a double IPA. This is from a local brewery. This is Cigar City. And this is what's known as Florida Man. Cigar City names their beers from things that happen around Florida, Maduro for the cigars and High Life for the game. But Florida Man, as you guys know, we do some incredibly stupid things down here. You know, the guy who's playing golf and he throws his coat over the gator to ride the gator and the gator bites him, you know, things like that just happen around here. And it just happens every single week. We got something. So they named a beer after it, and it's a double IPA. So it's got a lot of hoppiness to it, but it works really well with the sweetness because hops are like herbs. So you get a little bit of herbiness with it.
Sure. Yeah, the flavors that you have that you picked out there are like spot on as far as how they don't overpower each other. They really blend together nicely. Yeah, and kind of what Kari said before, the honey with the cheese. So well done, Michael. You beat her to it. But no, that's perfect. That's a great way to enjoy it and incorporate other products with it.
You know, as I'm tasting it, what's so amazing with this cheese is how clean this tanginess is. You know, it's got a great acidity to it, but it's got a great balance with the butter. I don't lose the butter here. I don't lose, get the tangy that is so over the top that it's distracting. And then with the honey, it's that sweet sour thing that you kind of get, that sweet and tangy that works just beautiful. It's really nice. And double IPA doesn't hurt either.
Right.
Never, never.
Well, it is. And we take pride in being able to age cheese like this so that the 7-year-old cheese that is either in, our 724 package, or if we private labeled it, that creaminess is in that cheese, because that mouthfeel is just as important as the flavor of it. So that texture is really, really important as far as when you're grating cheese or just having fun eating it with friends,
I've been judging since 2010, international cheese like you at Nanwich and all that. And one of the things that I noticed when I was cutting this is that, when you use a cheese iron and you get the pilling from that. And so this has some beautiful pilling that, that comes along the top here. That is just gorgeous.
One thing I did want to mention to consumers out there too is, when you are with our cheese, a lot of times what I do, I just cut the top off and you kind of, squeeze it out like almost like toothpaste type of thing. And you'll find sometimes it's wet on the inside and you're going, oh, why is it wet? That's whey. Cheese still will whey off, we call it. So it will still push the moisture out of the cheese as it is in the package. So if you ever open your cheese and it's kind of moist or has a little bit slippery, again, that's completely normal and part of the cheese as it ages. But yeah, it's not water, it's actually whey. That's might be around it.
This is a beautiful piece of cheese. That just, anybody that loves cheddar, that loves tanginess, this is just, there's nothing that compares to this. It's so creamy, it's so tangy, it's so buttery, it's got everything.
Thanks, Michael.
What do we say? Aged on purpose, graded for quality. That we don't just put it away and go, oh, it's 5 years old. That's marketed. It's going to be great. No, we do actually age our cheese on purpose. Well, with a reason to have people experience what quality aged cheese is. And it's not just a commodity. It's not a commodity cheese that just goes in and out of the markets. It's, meant for either a special occasion or an awesome gathering, like putting together for that recipe, the buffalo dip. I mean, we've gone to shows and stuff, and people come back numerous times, just taking cups of that, going, is there really aged cheese in that? Like, how could that be? Like,
yeah, last year was the. Oh, sorry. Thought you were at a show. Was the first time we actually showed our cheeses made in recipes, and we had really good response from that. It was people really enjoyed it, and it definitely is something to think about using, a nice aged cheddar more than just a table cheese. A little bit goes a long way. So when you use it in recipes, you can get away with using a little bit less because that flavor is so prevalent with the aged cheddars. But they really do amazing things for recipes. The flavors they help those recipes just bring out. It's yummy.
It's yummy.
I keep saying that. It's yummy.
It's yummy.
It also has a nice, you can really, between the 3 and the 7, you can really taste the calcium lactate in here. It's got just a nice crunch to it, but it's just very subtle. The first couple bites, I didn't really pick it up because I'm so, you're getting so much of the butter, so much of the cream, all those things that are coming in that you realize how smooth it is. But after about a few more bites, you really start to notice that it does have a nice aging for the calcium lactate.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Yep. Thank you. Yeah, we're proud of it. And that's the part that's neat, whether people want to just try a 3-year-old, or just try a 7, or they buy the flight of them, you know, with the 3, 7, and 11, where it's neat to be able to have all those flavors of cheddar in front of you and really see how that flavor intensifies as that cheese ages. Somebody in our group, not naming names, my dad, somebody asked him one time, what's the difference between a 5-year and a 10-year? And he's like, 5 years? Yeah. Not the answer. The difference between a 5-year-old and a 10-year-old is flavor. He is correct. There is 5 years in difference, but I think the lady kind of wanted to kick him. But it's flavor. The flavors intensify as that cheese ages. Now, it's important to know that those flavors can intensify, though, in not such a good way if you're not managing it properly. So sometimes some flavors like to go, woo! Not a good balance. That's the biggest thing, is having a balance of those flavors. But yeah, having the flight of them is a fun thing for groups to be able to really see that variety of how the cheese intensifies as it ages.
Yeah.
I've been recommending a cheese board with the same cheeses, style of cheeses, but different aging, you know, because a lot of times somebody will put on 3 or 4 different styles of cheese, and as much as it's entertaining, a lot of people want to learn a little more about it. So if you do take 3 or 4 different cheeses of the same style, 3 or 4 cheddars, 3 or 4 blues, 3 or 4 goudas, you really get to see and understand that. And you also find out what your preferences are. You know, do you really like, somebody says, I love sharp cheddars. You give them a sharp cheddar and he goes, I don't remember it was like this, you know, because their sharp is different than your sharp. So you be able to find out a little bit more. Plus, when you're doing the pairings, you find out which one works best pairing wise as well.
Oh yeah, it helps people perfect their palate too. On you know, it's the fun, like, can you taste that acid in there? You know, what is it? You know, from a grader, it's like, is it very slight, you know, definite, pronounced? You know, those are the technical terms. But when you get together with friends or family, you're kind of like, oh, I'm kind of that tang a little bit, or oh, what's that taste in the background? It kind of reminds me of coffee or something. Well, that's bitter, you know, so people can kind of start to relate what other flavors they know with what the flavors they're having in that cheese. But yeah, I mean, it's fun to have a variety of different, just like you said, the same type of cheese, but maybe even by different producers, you know. So that's kind of a neat way to go about the cheese boards too. Cool.
All right.
11-year-old is robust, intense, and crumbly. So even when we say it's crumbly, it's a different crumbly than you might be accustomed to. So one, I kind of left a chunk of it to really show you that, you know, this is our 11-year-old cheese. You know, it's not falling apart. You can cut it just beautifully. And this really is 11-year-old cheese. So people will have it sometime being like, that can't be 11-year-old. You can, and it is. So then you taste it and you'll know that it's 11-year-old cheese just because of that flavor intensity. Because I also wanted to show that, yeah, you can do small little bites of it, or that, you know, if you do want to cut it up in more of a traditional crumbly aged cheese, you know, it will do that too. But so you have options on how you want to present it, or the amount of the cheese you want to have at a time, because it does have a lot of flavor. It can be a flavor explosion. And then I put strawberries with it. I like the sweetness of a strawberry, kind of that balances against that boldness of the cheddar flavor. What do you guys got?
Well, for the 11-year, I put together this cheese board here, little charcuterie board. And what I wanted to do is, one of the things I really, really like to do with the 11-year cheddar is to put it with, and I know a lot of people are familiar with Pine River cheese breads. I love them. This is the chunky blue one, and I love to put a little bit of that chunky blue with the blue cheese flavor on it, and then put a little bit of the aged cheddar on top of that. So this is what I typically will do this often, but I also found this blackberry balsamic sauce. So I put a little bit of that on it with it too. And I mean, the flavors are amazing in it. It's definitely makes you smile.
Yep.
So much so that I wish you all could try it.
Right, exactly.
Like now, right now.
Oh. No, our 11-year-old has that nutty flavor that is associated with cheddar, but it's a much more deeper, intense nutty. So yeah, to know it is to experience it. So hopefully you'll be able to have that opportunity to try one of our 11-year-olds at some point. That yeah, because the flavor hits you right up front. It's creamy. It has a little acid, a little bitter, but then all of a sudden it kind of starts to slowly dissipate, which means we call it cleans up. Which then, guess what? I want to eat more. But if you want to go back and forth between the cheeses, it is nice to have a palate cleaner, or cleanser, I should say, so you really can enjoy each one, because they will have carryover. Because if you eat an 11-year-old cheese and then try to go backwards to a medium cheddar, that medium cheddar is not going to taste like much at all, because there's so much flavor still on your palate of that 11. But I did actually pair mine as well, seeing that now it's closer to cocktail hour. So a lot of times people pair aged 11 with like a red, because red has that deeper, bolder body. I personally really like this Chardonnay. It's from Artesa out in Napa Valley area, because it has an oaky Chardonnay. So it's not as sweet. It has that little bit more smoky barrel flavor to it. So I think I like to pair it with that.
So this has got, my first taste of this came up with the nuttiness that this has. And I was thinking that it has some of the nuttiness that you get in a port. As you age a port, they become a little bit more nuttier. And it's really kind of cool the way that that comes across. It's just so nice. So I'm pairing this up with the black and blue, blueberries and blackberries. And this is Bonnie's Jam. I just adore her. I think she does a great job. But when you look at this, this isn't like a jam that you would find in a grocery store. This is a real jam that needs to go with something that has some nuttiness to it and some substance. And that's where I think that this cheese does very well with that. And I wanted to pair this up with the sea salt, because I didn't really want to add any additional flavors. I just really wanted to have a little bit of crunch that would go with it. So, something, I honestly believe that it's really simple, but also this nuttiness is with the fruit is just crazy.
Yeah, it is.
It's a party in your mouth, isn't it?
It is. It's when you think about, a lot of times people say, well, I'll get grapes, or I'll get this and that. And not that they don't go with it, but they're not going to have the same impact. This cheese can do so much because it's got such rich flavors to it. And I paired this with the New Belgian. This is part of their Voodoo series, and this is their Liquid Paradise IPA. So again, I'm sticking with that because again, I want to have that hoppiness, and this is a little more citrus hop and a little bit more piney. So with that, it kind of goes really well of bringing out more butter. So I get more butter, I get more nuttiness, but the nuttiness on this, it's so warm nut. It's almost like there's a sweet toastiness that you added to this. That's really just crazy good.
Yep. Thank you. Yeah. We take it for granted, I think, at WAG when we're exposed to such delicious cheese all the time, that it is. All of it's really a special cheese that you can help intensify or bring out the different flavors, in an IPA or. So, Michael, that looks delicious. I really would like to try that.
I honestly can't get enough of this. I'm just gonna start carving large chunks.
One of the downfalls of being virtual, right?
Right. Nobody would judge. This is a safe group. We're all cheese lovers.
Yeah.
So,
I did another pairing with the 11-year on the charcuterie board here. I kind of like to call this charcuterie sushi. I don't know if you can see that as well, but what it is it's just a piece of salami with some fontina cheese in it, and then also a chunk of our 11-year in the middle too. So I got a couple pieces of those on the board, and it's good.
It's good.
It's yummy.
Well, and I'm sure that with the meat and that saltiness of that meat pairs up really nicely with that the intensity of that flavor. Yeah. Cool.
Those that are not big IPA fans, I have to say that when you're pairing IPAs with cheese, you're taking some of the strength of the IPA to go up against the strength of the cheese, which the cheese reduces the intensity of the IPA bitterness here. So this IPA becomes more rosemary sweet. It's more herbal than it is anything else. And so herbal with the cheese and the nuttiness and the fruit is just really magnificent. And that you need to just free your mind and say, okay, I'll try something like that, because there are reasons why some things pair better, and having a beer that doesn't have the strength to it will turn into water. It'll just disappear into that. So you have to have something that brings it up. And this Liquid Paradise is fantastic.
Sounds like a perfect name for it too.
This Harmony cheese is great to pair with things, but it's so yummy just by itself also.
So our Harmony, again, is part of our Wisconsin Graders Reserve line. It's a white cheddar, smooth, buttery, and sweet. I mean, it's the cheese. I know Carrie said it before too, but this cheese makes you smile. I mean, it's just so, it makes you happy. I mean, we've had people tell us before that they bought a bar of it and ate it on their way home. The whole 5 ounces. So it's a very, very approachable cheese. This is the cheese that WAG formulated that has the sweet, buttery notes of a Gouda and that fruity Parmesan flavor, but still maintaining that cheddar. Cheddar is the first and foremost cheese that's made of. So, yeah, it's delicious. I didn't pair it with anything because I just love eating it by itself. But I'll continue to drink my Chardonnay with it as well.
Yeah, I mean, I love the Harmony by itself. It's also great with the honey, as stated before. But the other pairing I did was with another of the Pine River spreads. taking a cracker. The Pine River spread I have is the Aged Asiago. So I took a little bit of that with some of the Harmony cheese on it. And then I have a little bit of this pineapple habanero tequila sauce, which gives a little bit of spice. Just a little bit of that on top of it. It's the flavors, it's another party in your mouth. It's tasty.
Well, and go ahead, Gary. Sorry. You're eating. Okay. With this cheese, I've talked about our aged products, how they slice just beautifully. The body is still very much intact. It's not really crumbling as aged cheddars that people have been used to seeing. Where this Harmony, the body does break down a little bit more than our other cheeses, but that's because of the cultures and how this cheese is made. So you will get, you know, the pieces that break off that are a little bit more crumbly. But at the same time, if you wanted to put a nice board together, you can still get a beautiful cut to kind of jazz up a cheese board. But yeah, I mean, you honestly can put it together in a little dish like this and sit down and enjoy a Friday night just with this cheese by itself. Mm-hmm. Or with wine.
I first taste, I got caramel. Is that crazy?
No, butterscotch is a lot of times.
Butterscotch. Thank you. Butterscotch. Yep. Oh my God, that is just, it's incredible.
Yeah.
I love that.
My husband, when he is part of our grading team as well, and this is kind of one of his projects that he really takes forefront on with the attributes as it's aging and what we're looking to put in our package. And yeah, butterscotch is always the terminology he associates with it.
Wow. Well, so what I decided to do was go with the Virginia chutney. This is a cranberry chutney. So I wanted to bring some tanginess to the cheese. And then for the cracker, I wanted to bring, again, a little bit of sweetness. So I went with the Rustic Bakery, their rosemary and olive oil. Just really, really simple. But what I think is really fun is that has that sweetness already that will take some of the tanginess from the cranberry. And that was what I was thinking about on there, where, you know, again, I misread that as being not butterscotch, but, you know, working with that. And so we have the butterscotch, the butter, there's a little hint of tang, so what I wanted to do was I wanted to add some maltiness to the beer. And so I'm using the Oscar Blues Brewery. This is Gnite, which is an Imperial Red IPA. And you can see that how, you know, dark this is. This is all malt with hops, and those hops act as a little bit of herb. So herb, sweetness, there's just so much going on here.
Yeah, you get that buttery parm, or well, the parm is the fruitiness, but that buttery of the Gouda with the nutty, and then all of them together have that butterscotchy flavor that you kind of were talking. And that's where, yeah, I mean, a Chardonnay pairs up great because the same thing, it has a buttery flavor to it. I would probably put a red though with the Harmony as far as wine, unless the rosé would probably work pretty well too.
I've done thousands of pairings, and the uniqueness of the flavors of this cheese with the cranberry tartness and the chutney spices and the maltiness of the beer, that's fantastic. It's just, I didn't do it. I mean, this isn't something that I thought about for days thinking like how I was going to do it. I basically built that this morning when I was doing the tasting, and I thought, that'd be really good. And oh my God. Oh yeah. If you can, yeah.
I'm glad we surprised you, Michael, because you are a man who knows his flavors and his cheese. So that means a lot for our WAG group, because it is one, like I said, it's a special cheese to us, because everybody at the WAG team had a part in, just even coming up with the name of it, the harmony of flavors because of the blend, the working on the culture, formulating, revamp, and really getting it to be, because there are more cheeses that have that fruity flavor that are in the market now and stuff, but we really think that our harmony has still stood out quite a bit compared to some of the other fruity cheddars that are out there right now.
It's always special when you can find something that it just takes it over to another level. And this cheese isn't like any cheddar that I can categorize. In other words, I've been teaching 15 years, talking about cheddars and all of that, and I've never used that description in a cheddar. I mean, you think about bandage wrap where you go horseradish or you go earthy and all of that, but I've never had it come up with this. And you just solved a problem that I have. I have a cider pairing that I'm doing in 2 weeks with Cigar City Cider, and they sent me a cider that I was having trouble with, and I just found the key.
Excellent.
You are welcome.
Our job here is done.
Yeah, your job here is done. Well, good. Yeah, I mean, it is. It's a very fun, when people say they don't like aged cheddar, you can be like, well, try our harmony. And they're like, well, that's not aged. So I think that one that we're having right now is probably a 2-year, 3-year aged cheddar. So it has aged in it. And that a lot of people also don't maybe know that if you are lactose intolerant, cheddar, the lactose is almost completely gone on a sharp to aged cheddar. There's not lactose. So some of my boys' teachers had said how they're lactose intolerant when they found out that I was in the cheese world. I'm like, well, try our harmony. Let's see what you think of that. And they're like, oh, I ate it on the way home, the whole brick. Like, perfect. So, well, good. I'm glad that you enjoyed it.
I did. I apologize for leaning over right now, as I have 2 golden retrievers, and I moved one of the plates to a level where they could access it, and both of them just came in and scarfed up. Yes, the entire wedge of cheese.
Oh, which one? Which age?
Yes, the one just took it away, grabbed that wedge and ran away.
He's like, thank you very much.
I got the other one that I'm holding off, but yeah.
It's puppy approved. There you go.
It is golden retriever approved. Yes.
Yeah.
Perfect. Well, excellent. I think that's all the cheeses we have for today. But if anybody wanted to reach out to Kari, Kari at wagcheese.com.
Yep, I think all the information should be on the description of this webinar. And you can definitely reach out to me with any questions or any additional information you would like. We also have a limited number of tasting boxes that we can ship out. The tasting boxes will include a 3, 7, 11, and a harmony. And then I believe also a smaller chunk of 14-year.
So it has a bonus cheese in it.
What's that?
It'll have a bonus cheese in it.
A bonus cheese. Yeah, so we could definitely get you set up with one of those pairings so that you could, come up with one of those boxes, so you could come up with your own pairings to watch this back and kind of see what you can come up with. I believe those are going to be $30 plus shipping. And then, once I get your information, we'll have that box out to you shortly. So definitely get in touch with me, and I will hook you up with some excellent aged cheddars.
It'll also be on the description of the YouTube recorded version. So we'll have it there.
So I just want, I'm trying to think of everything that we said. There's so much, you know, right? But the main thing is kind of incorporating aged cheddars into more than just a table cheese. You know, you can put them into recipes, use them with different sorts of pairings. There's lots of different ways you can go about it. And when you find the aged cheddar that you're happy with, you know, it just makes it that much better.
No, it's perfect. That's perfect. And that's
This was sponsored by the great folks at the Dairy Farmers of Wisconsin, who do a great job of being able to get more information out and also promoting a lot of the cheeses that you see here today. So tomorrow we have Cowgirl coming in. So we're going to really have an interesting talk with them about all the different things that we're going to do. And I greatly appreciate you guys sticking with us. I know these run a little longer than the usual, but there's a lot of information that you can bring from this, and hopefully you'll continue to enjoy that. So be safe, wash your hands, wear a mask. We'll see you soon. Thank you.